This is a presentation on the prepositions that we find in the English language. Prepositions are words that are put in front of a noun, pronoun, or an ing form. A preposition can answer the questions when, where, and how. Preposition. Prepositional phrases can be added on to the noun. The preposition used in English is of, whereas we use different words in Swedish. For example, the color of the car is färgen på bilen. The owner of the car is ägaren till bilen. The qualities of the car, egenskaperna hos den här bilen. We have prepositions of time. At används som svar på frågan när, vid vilken tidpunkt eller vilket tillfälle. Till exempel klockan, ögonblick, högtider. They will come back at 6 o'clock, at midnight, at night, at Easter, at any moment, at the same time. At is also used after verbs that mean to look at and state the object. Have you looked at the stars tonight? Or they stared at me. She glanced at her watch. In is used when you want to have the meaning when, within some time, as in part of day and month, season, year, and century. For example, this happened in the evening, in the middle of the day, in May, in the summer, in 1987, or in the 20th century. In is also used when you talk about something that will happen in a certain amount of time. For example, this will happen in a moment. Om in Swedish, om ett ögonblick. In a few days, om några dagar, in a short time, and in 10 minutes. Then remember that in Swedish is om. On answers the question when you talk about on what day and which date. For example, she is coming back on Monday, or on December 12th, or on the same day, or on Christmas Eve. During, you use answers to questions when, meaning in Swedish när under loppet av vilken period något händer. As in, many people fled during the war, under kriget in Swedish. During January there was no snow at all. I januari eller under januari fanns det ingen snö. For could be used in different ways. One is answer the questions for how long. It had been raining for 10 days. And then we have in Swedish I. Det hade regnat i 10 dagar. Also when. I'll have it ready for next week. Det kommer att vara klart till nästa vecka. And the second one, i betydelsen avsedd för någons räkning. Are there any letters for me? Finns det några brev för mig, till mig? What can I do for you? Vad kan jag hjälpa dig med? Ago answers the questions för hur länge sedan. Remember that in English we don't have any for, just ago. I started windsurfing a long time ago, 2 years ago, or an hour ago. A very common Swedish mistake is to say 2 hours ago, but that's Swinglish, so please don't do that. Then we have prepositions of room. At, when you talk at a place, or names of smaller places, or just areas and houses. For example, Claire is at our place, or Boliden, or a party, or her office. At can also in Swedish mean hos. Let's have coffee at your place, hemma hos dig. In you use when you talk about a restricted area. For example, in the picture, in the attic, in court, in the village, in the sky, in the country, in Chicago. Arrive in use when there are larger places, countries, or cities. Arrive at is used with smaller places, villages, and smaller cities. For example, we arrived at Dover, which is a smaller town, and we arrived in Berlin, which is a big town. On, when you talk about on a surface or a line, they're sitting on the ground, on a sofa, on the sand, on the grass. There's a fly on the ceiling, there's a picture on the wall, or there's a ship on the horizon. By is used in means of communication. And some other expressions. For example, they went by train, plane, or car. By is also used when you create the passive. I was shot by the police. After some verbs such as took, mean, took by, mean by. What do you mean by that? And in many other expressions such as by car, by chance, by mistake, or by profession. A couple of other regular or common prepositions in English is about, meaning om, angående. Don't ask about her. Against, meaning mot och motsättning. It's against the law. Towards, meaning mot i riktning. They came running towards me. And as, som i egenskap av. As your boss, I must warn you. We have like, som, meaning i likhet med. Like your boss, I think, meaning both your boss and I think this. At, över i fråga om. Laura was angry at the result. From, från. Tom tried to hide from his parents, or playmates, rather. And to, till. We went to the movies. Det finns 3 fall när engelskan har preposition vid tidsangivelse men inte svenskan. Och som svarar på frågan när. Då har vi at framför klockslag. The train leaves at 10. On framför datum. He was born on March 8th. And in framför årtal. He died in 1632. And all of these occasions we don't have the preposition in Swedish. There are also some occasions where we don't have prepositions at all. English then has a verb and an object, but in Swedish we have verb and preposition phrase. For example, he entered the house. As you see in Swedish, han gick in i huset, but no preposition in English. He married a Scotswoman. She shook her head. He pulled the handle. He pushed the button. I doubt it, or her skill impressed me. All of the sentences have prepositions in Swedish, but not in English. And that ends this presentation.